The vision of the project is to create pathways for early childhood educators and to bring down barriers, and particularly for populations of early childhood educators who are working in the field currently or who have not historically had opportunities to earn degrees and certification. And so creating those pathways, in order to do that, we have three objectives for this project. One is to develop a competency-based framework, which will provide the structure for students to complete degrees and to earn certification. And a competency-based framework is really helpful in facilitating that, because if we all have the same competencies across institutions of higher education, four-year and two-year institutions, then that will facilitate the transfer of credit. It also will facilitate the process of educators demonstrating competencies for prior learning. So there are educators who've been in the field for 5, 10, 15, 25 years, and they may not have a bachelor's degree or certification, but they have a lot of knowledge and skills. And so having a competency framework gives us a structure to design assessments so that they can demonstrate those competencies. The second aim of the project is to really be data-driven in building supports for students. And so, for example, we have conducted surveys and interviews of students and professionals in the field to learn about what barriers they have experienced in their education and in their profession, as well as the facilitators they have experienced. And from that, we've learned a number of different things about what we need to do to build support so that they can be successful in completing degrees and earning teacher certification.
There have been times when we have a hard time reaching somebody or reaching a group of people that have said they were interested, and we have committed to even driving up there to 3 hours away, 5 hours away, and to visit people and in person. And we said, okay, email is not the way to reach these communities in particular. As a Latina myself, I know that a lot of times in our communities, in-person works much better, right? And the project has just held space for that and has used those cultural differences as a way to say, okay, this is how we need to connect then.
And then the third aim of the project is to be community-based and culturally sustaining. So our early childhood educators are working in programs across the state. They have families, they're serving their communities, and that's really where they need to be while they're completing their degrees. It's not reasonable to expect a practitioner in the field to leave their job, leave their family, and come to a campus to complete a degree. And so we need to build that structure so that the university can go to them and deliver coursework in innovative ways and design innovative ways for them to demonstrate mastery of competencies in coursework so that it's really being delivered in their communities.
The apprenticeship program is very innovative in the sense that it's providing the educational component while the educator is working in the classroom in conjunction with the journey worker or mentor, so that the educator can see in real time, in real life, what a particular strategy looks like, how to implement a particular strategy, how to implement curriculum, how to individualize curriculum for young children, how to provide specific supports and resources when children are challenged. So it's unique in the sense that they're not going to school full-time and then learning and then bringing that back into a job when they're done, when they've achieved some sort of credential or higher ed. It's place-based learning, and so they're getting the learning while they're working with children and implementing at the same time.
Our leadership have really been intentional about, okay, we're going to make a decision about the Black community, so we're going to have our Black members in the group kind of lead the way in these decisions and say, like, these are the people we need to talk to. These are the relationships we have. We're going to bring these community members on board. And then we're going to do this with Latino community members. So, we'll get asked to even, speak Spanish and bring the resources translated to them and things like that. So it's never just a white academic showing up and asking questions and then recruiting, generating this feedback loop of just white normativity. It's very much like no, these are the voices we have in the project, these are the voices we want to elevate, and then kind of everybody come on board.
It is a lot of work to bring all of these different groups of people together. And I would say that the other piece of it that's been challenging is that people are motivated to move forward and get things done and get them done quickly. But this kind of work does take time. If you want to incorporate all of those voices, and if you want to really be data-driven and understand where people are coming from, taking the time to listen and understand means that it's going to be a little bit slower than we want, but it's more important to get it right than to get it fast. One of the important things that we've learned, and that I think people who have done community-based research forever have understood, is that you really need trusted community members who are leading that effort. And so as we are building our community-based portion of the research, we are really emphasizing that they're the lead in the process and we are supporting the process, and that the stories that the communities tell are their stories, not our stories. To really make it clear that our purpose is to build something for the communities, not for us. We understand the historical problems that there have been with research in communities and with marginalized groups, and we want to make clear that that's not our intention.
I think the vision really is building on the strengths of the workforce that's already there and really helping them and knowing that that's what ultimately impacts the kids. That if you have a really good teacher in the classroom, in the home, whatever setting they're in, you're impacting multiple kids from that. And I think that's where everybody comes from. It's what that teacher is doing and how we help the teacher do the very best that they can do. That's where we're going.
Individuals from my first day on the job told me, we are looking for ways to be innovative and to change the rules. So tell us what your dream is, coming from the projects, bring all those dreams to us, and then we'll fix the rules to accommodate that. And I never thought I would hear that from, the holders of the red tape. So that's been really encouraging, and I think that has shown through all the agencies that we work with, all the partnerships. For example, we'll be sitting in a meeting saying, we wonder what the Department of Labor would think of this. And a day later, we're in a meeting and somebody from the Department of Labor is there and they're just the kindest person and willing to share with us what we need to tweak in order to make it happen.
We need our state senators to know and understand what is best for children and what these initiatives are doing and why they're working and why it should matter to them. Having said that, we also need that support from business, the local communities. I believe businesses are coming to terms with the fact that childcare is significant in the success of their own businesses. If their staff don't have childcare, their staff aren't coming to work. During the pandemic, that we were called the workforce behind the workforce. And I believe that's true. I'm tired of saying it. And so I want to make sure that early childhood education is seen as the vital professional work that it is and that they do. And without it, the rest of the businesses, the rest of the community won't function.